But Yahuah stopped him and what? Abraham looked up and he heard Yahuah's voice, and he told him to look behind him. That was what? A ram in the bush. So when we go into these offerings, now all of a sudden, you're going to see there are specific animals that are required for these offerings. They're going to be a specific age, a specific gender. The type, the age, the gender, it all play an important part of understanding what's going on. Anybody know the difference between a sheep and a lamb?
It's a lamb of a young sheep.
A lamb is a young sheep. So why is Yahuah always depicted as a lamb? If a lamb is a young sheep, what does youth always depict or denote? Innocence. What's a female sheep called? Y'all know what a female sheep is called? Somebody Google it right quick. Anybody know what a male sheep is called? Yeah, you're right. And who? And what's a male sheep called? Huh? A male sheep is a ram. So when Abraham, when the father told Abraham to look behind him, and he saw a ram caught in the thorn and the thistles by the horns of his head, it's all depicting something. So if it's a ram, you know automatically it's a particular what? It's a certain offering. One offering required a bull. One required a lamb of a certain age, or a ram, a goat, turtle dove, pigeon. Why? That's what we're going to cover all of these offerings, because once you get an understanding of these things, all of them are going to enlighten you, and you're going to see everything that Mashiyach fulfilled.
And it's also interesting, when Abraham and Isaac was going to the mountain to sacrifice, Isaac asked Abraham, where's the offering? Or where's the sheep offering? He said,
and what will Abraham respond?
Provide himself.
He said,
provide himself an offering.
Yeah, he will provide himself. Is that not what he did for the nation of Yashra'al? He gave his own. Let me tell y'all something. Yahuah gonna test him behind us, in Israel and outside of Israel. And he already told you judgment begins where? The household of faith. Here it is, Yahuah gonna take his only begotten son. He gonna sacrifice his son to bring a hard-headed, stiff-necked people back into covenant relationship with him. But you know one thing about the ones he brings back in the covenant relationship with him? They won't be hard-headed and stiff-necked. Because that proves he's gonna get rid of them, wipe them out. They're gonna be wearing George brand. 23. We said 2/3 should be cut off. You're gonna know who they are. Because let me tell y'all something. That mess he dealt with in the wilderness the first time, don't think he's going back through that again. And I often think about when we read that. Do you know how hard-headed and and stiff-necked and rebellious we had to be as a people in order to cause another man not to be able to even go into the land promised? Moses didn't make it in because of Negroes. I sure wish we went on Comcast so I can use that other word. It has more impact. Let me tell you something. That's a hard-headed group of people. Y'all see today what we're dealing with. I don't think you got to do turn on the news. Just shooting and robbing and stealing, just doing all kind of madness. And a lot of times we want to blame it on the system. But all the time it's not the system, that's just in you. That's in us, and that's in us to be because we have a sinful nature. And if you don't believe it, just read the book. The other nation will cause Israel to be wicked. Matter of fact, the Father said we will cause the other nation to be wicked. That's why I'm going to be very selective when we get up out of here. If I see your spirit ain't right, you can't hang with me. Because I'm not fit to be chopped off in the wilderness. Not over no foolishness. I'm like, no, bro, you go over there with them. This is a set apart group here. We're not about that foolishness. Whatever they say, that's what we're going to do. Because let me tell you something. One thing the nation of Yashra'al had to a fault is we're the only people always think that we got a way to beat the system or get around or circumvent what has been already established. Can't you imagine that the leaders that Yahuah set up, they're telling us to do one thing? You know, you always got that raw brother, man. You got to do that, man. Please. I'm going to go on woods. Come on with me. We can do this, but we can catch up and do that later on. But you ain't got to do that no more, because if you do it this way, you're going to save time and money. And what would happen? All of a sudden, you're going to just see the ground just split. And a whole bunch of Negroes just drop down into it. Because I'm telling you how it's going to go. Believe that. Because didn't he do it the first time? Did he not open up the earth and swallow 20 and 30,000 at a time? We're the same people. We're the exact same people, so you know what's going to happen again. That's what he said, 2/3 of my people shall be cut off. They ain't even going to get in. Let's go to Yahuah 4 and 34. John 4 and 34.
Yahuah or John 4, verse 34. Yahusha saith unto them, my meat is to do the will of him that sent me, and to finish his work.
He said, my meat what?
My meat is to do the will of him that sent me, and to finish his work.
To do the will of him that has sent me, and to do what? Finish his work. I bet y'all said, what does that have to do with sacrifices? Have anybody ever looked up that word, meat? What does it mean? Anybody got it?
Food literally or figuratively, especially ceremonially, articles allowed or forbidden by the Jewish law, meat, vegetables.
So, you notice what's a literary figure, especially ceremonial. That's what sacrificial meats come into play. What you say, Doc?
No, that's the word you said, ceremony.
So what did he come to fulfill? the sacrifice. And so as we read and continue to read, we're going to go into these things, and you're going to see how he fulfilled all of them. Let's go to Yahuah 6:38.
Yahuah or John 6 verse 38. For I came down from Shamayim or heaven, not to do my own will, but the will of him that sent me.
Keep on reading.
And this is the Father's will, which hath sent me, that of all which he hath given me, I should lose nothing, but should raise it up again at the last day. And this, continue. And this is the will of him that sent me, that every one which seeth the Son and believeth on him may have everlasting life, and I will raise him up at the last day.
You keep going.
The Jews then murmured at him, because he said, I am the bread which came down from Shamayim.
Go ahead.
And they said, is not this Yahusha, the son of Yahusha, whose father and mother we know? How is it then that he saith, I came down from Shamayim or heaven? Yahushua Mashiyach therefore answered and said unto them, murmur not among yourselves. No man can come to me except the Father which hath sent me draw him, and I will raise him up at the last day. It is written in the prophets, and they shall be all taught of Elohim. Every man therefore that hath heard and hath learned of the Father cometh unto me. Not that any man hath seen the Father, save he which is of Elohim. He hath seen the Father. Verily, verily, I say unto you, he that believeth on me hath everlasting life. I am that bread of life. Your fathers did eat manna in the wilderness and are dead. This is the bread which cometh down from heaven, that a man may eat thereof and not die. I am the living bread which came down from Shamayim or heaven. If any man eat of this bread, he shall live forever. And the bread that I will give is my flesh, which I will give for the life of the world. The Jews therefore strove among themselves, saying, how can this man give us his flesh to eat? Then Yahushua Mashiyach said unto them, verily, verily, I say unto you, except ye eat the flesh of the Son of Man, and drink his blood, ye have no life in you. Whoso eateth my flesh, and drinketh my blood, have eternal life, and I will raise him up at the last day. For my flesh is meat indeed, and my blood is drink indeed. He that eateth my flesh and drinketh my blood dwelleth in me, and I in him. As the living Father hath sent me, and I live by the Father, so he that eateth me, even he shall live by me.
Hallelujah. So what's going on here? Now, when we get to these offerings, you're also going to see what is called a grain offering. You're going to see where there are loaves that are what? That are baked, some with leaven, some with not, that are also offered, and they're also eaten. You're going to see also where some of the offerings, we take what? The wine, pour it on the offering. So if you don't understand what's going on, now I know it sounds, Mashiyach doing a lot of talking there, right? about eating and drinking, eating his body. But we don't, all the reason it sounds confusing to us, no one has ever made us go back and read the offerings, the different types of offering, and look at what's required. You know, if the nation of Yashra'al sins have to be atoned for, do we think the priests were perfect? Did not they have to make make an offering to atone for their sin? Or say, what is the requirement for the priest? What should be eaten by the priest? What cannot be eaten by the priest? What is to be offered up to Yahuah? See, the higher your position was, what? The more expensive or the greater your offering had to be. We had to bring a lamb or a ram or whatever. If you were dirt poor, you could bring what? Pigeon dove, turtle dove or pigeon. And, yeah, even flowers. So, what you see is, the priest himself had to bring what? A bull. You know, a bull is worth a lot more than a lamb, a pigeon, a dove, a turtle dove. So there were different requirements, and it's imperative that we go back and read, get an understanding. I know it might seem like it's a boring read, but we're going to have to do it because it's going to open up everything for you. That's why I just want to kind of introduce them today, but we're going to do a more thorough look inside of these offerings. So by the time we get to Isaiah 53, you just read it, you can pinpoint and know at what part he's fulfilling this and which offering this is, which offering that is. If that's the problem with Isaiah 53, nobody's going back to take time to read and to see what's going on. He did more than just atone for our sins. There's a whole lot going on in Isaiah 53. There's a whole lot going on with Mashiyach. But all of this sounds strange to people when they read it, when he said, eat my body, drink my blood. If you go back and understand the sacrifices and what they were required, none of this would be foreign. All of it makes sense. Let's go to Romans 12 right quick. But you notice when we were reading how everything Mashiyach was talking about was what? The Father's will. What he came to do. So what did he come to do? The Father's will. You notice how he didn't have any reservation? He totally subjected himself to the Father and submitted himself to the Father doing his will. That's what your burnt offering is about. It shows you the willingness and the dedication of Yahusha to his Father. Let's go to Romans 12, 1 and 2.
Romans 12, verse 1. I beseech you, therefore, brethren, by the mercies of Elohim, that ye present your bodies a living sacrifice, set apart, acceptable unto Elohim, which is your reasonable service. And be not conformed to this world, but be ye transformed by the renewing of your mind, that ye may prove what is that good and acceptable and perfect will of Elohim.
Good and acceptable, perfect will of Elohim. Now this is Apostle Shaul talking to who? Israel, right? He said, present your body what? A living sacrifice. Why would he say living sacrifice? Say it again, Cody.
You have to do it now while you're living.
Yeah, because what's not required anymore?
Animal sacrifice.
Animal sacrifice is not required anymore. Because what came along with the animal sacrifice? Death. Which was what?
The wages of sin? The wages of sin?
The wages of sin, which is also what? It was a curse. Remember when he said, when Paul talks about removing the curse of the law? What was the curse of the law?
Death.
It was death. Which law was he talking about? The sacrificial. He was talking about the sacrificial law. This is why he's saying now, present your body a living sacrifice, set apart and acceptable to Yahuah. Why is he saying set apart and acceptable to Yahuah? Under the law, how did the sacrifice have to be? Spotless and what? Without blemish. The sacrifice hasn't gone anywhere. Now you're the sacrifice, but you're a living sacrifice. Everything was what? It was done as a foreshadow to point us towards something that be greater in the long run. Now we are a living sacrifice, set apart. And how do we make ourselves set apart?
Keeping Yahuah's commandments, laws, commandments.
Yeah. By what?
Keeping Yahuah's laws and commandments.
Yeah, by keeping his commandments. Well, I know you're supposed to say, well, we can't keep the commandments. Yes, we can. Because the foundation of our marriage and covenant was what? 10. It was 10. Now, name me one of the 10s you can't keep. I can name you about a good 50 of the other ones you can't keep, because you're not in Jerusalem, first of all.
Yep.
But name me one of those 10 you can't keep. I know that hit like a sack of bricks, didn't it? Our covenant was based and built upon 10, not 316. Let's go look at when we look at the burnt offering, it was to be what? A male sacrifice or a male? Anybody know why? Thank you. Represent Mashiyach. Let's go also look at, let's go to Genesis 4, 1 through 7.
Genesis 4 verse 1. And Adam knew Eve his wife, and she conceived, and bare Cain, and said, I have gotten a man from Yahuah. And she again bare his brother Abel, and Abel was a keeper of sheep, but Cain was a tiller of the ground. And in process of time, it came to pass that Cain brought of the fruit of the ground an offering unto Elohim, Yahuah. And Abel, he also brought of the firstling of his flock, and of the fat thereof. And Yahuah had respect unto Abel and to his offering.
Y'all ever notice false shepherds.
Even Dawood.
Yep. Even King Dawood. So when we look at that, let's read that one more time, Dr. Cat. I want to point out something here.
Bereshit or Genesis 4 verse 1. And Adam or Adam knew Eve, his wife, and she conceived and bare Cain, and said, I have gotten a man from Yahuah. And she again bare his brother Abel, and Abel was a keeper of sheep, but Cain was a tiller of the ground. And in process of time, it came to pass that Cain brought of the fruit of the ground an offering unto Yahuah. And Abel, he also brought of the firstlings of his flock, and of the fat thereof. And Yahuah had respect unto Abel and to his offering.
It said Yahuah had respect unto who? Abel and his offering. But you notice it didn't say it about Cain? Why didn't it say it about Cain?
Because Cain didn't get the first, like the delivery of his.
Right, his offering was the first fruit. And what else do you notice about this offering? What would have happened to the priest if he had brought an offering to Yahuah that wasn't accepted? He died. Why wasn't Cain put to death? He brought an offering, it wasn't acceptable to Yahuah.
Because he wasn't a priest.
It wasn't so much he wanted to preach, but also Cain was even given another opportunity to bring the correct offering. But remember, when we started out the lesson, we said there were offerings that were required, and there were offerings that were voluntary offerings or free will offerings. A required offering, he'd have been put to death.
So this was a free will offer?
Yep, the burnt offering is a free will offering. It's voluntary. So, you know, anybody else that had been dragging them from out, that had to get the rope boys, they'd be dragging, they'd be pulling them. Yep. So we're gonna start bringing the lesson to a close right there, and we're gonna pick up next week, and we're gonna look at the offerings some more and go deeper into those and get a more thorough understanding before we jump into Isaiah 53. Shabbat shalom, everybody.
Shabbat shalom.
Shalom.